Welcome ninjas to the Coder Dojo. How is everyone doing today? Who's ready to get spooky? So today we're going to be making a game called Ghost Hunter, where I'm going to show you how you can create this overlay whereby you can create this sort of torch light effect with darkness all around. And then also we're going to get this ability to make these ghosts disappear the longer that we kind of hold the torch over them. And if there's any ghosts that we miss, then so if I let one get big enough, then we should lose the game. There we go. We lost the game. So yeah, there's going to be a few different parts to this. And there's a few sort of cute little tricks in Scratch that this is going to teach you, as well as some good coding principles. How's it going, FaZe Viswa? Have you used Scratch before, FaZe? So, for any of the ninjas who've been here before, have a bit of a think about how you think that I'm doing this. How do I achieve the darkness all around this little light here? So yeah, and if there's anyone who is new to Scratch, let me know. And also, the other thing I should mention is if you don't want to do ghosts, that's also fine. You can do bats, you can do anything that you want. It's your game, so you can decide if you don't want it to be ghosts, you can do anything that you like. Doesn't have to be spooky. It can just be like an animal that's doing this. Excellent. So I've got this particular game listed as a medium difficulty game. Oh, here we go. Oh no, too late. So I probably won't go through all the basics of how to use Scratch, but if you haven't used Scratch before, let me know, and I'll make sure that I give you some explanation of how to get to Scratch and that kind of thing. Another thing I think I might do for future is a sort of, if you've a sort of welcome to Scratch video that I can direct people to if they've never used Scratch before, and then that way all the rest of my videos, there are certain things that I can skip and I can just get to sort of some more advanced stuff a bit faster for the rest of you guys who are a bit more further along. And that way we're not leaving anyone behind. How's it going, Typed Stream? Oh, you've watched before, have you? Oh, FaZe goes to Midland Coder Dojo. Very nice. But yeah, shout out to Typed Stream, as you asked so nicely. All right. Hey, that's very nice of you, Typed Stream. I appreciate that. I try my best. I don't know who Quintonus... Oh, wait a sec. Quentin. Yeah, Quentin is... let's see. He's still working for the library, but he's not doing these live streams. But we're all of us are working on how to start up doing physical coding lessons again in the library. We might actually do things a bit differently at first, rather than doing the Coder Dojo the way that we did before COVID. We might do things just a little bit differently. Some more kind of sort of classes like this where we all make the same game. That should be kind of fun. All right, well, let's start going through some of this code, and I'm going to tell you how some of this works. So I'm just going to give you an overview, and then we're going to break down, we're going to make it together. And we'll see how we go. We may not get through all of it today, and if that's the case, then we'll just do part 2 next week. So there's 3 sprites. There's this darkness sprite, which you can see is basically just the whole thing is filled in. There's a little erased hole in the middle, and that's what creates the sort of torchlight effect. There is this red sprite here that's invisible when we're playing the game. It only shows up when we've lost or when the game is not running. But that is for the ghost to detect if it's being touched by this particular sprite. And then we have the ghost sprite, and there's a few different bits of code that we put in there, a few different behaviors. So first of all, the ghosts appear. They spawn in a random location. You can see that they sort of move around, and after you've been holding, they try and escape the light when you've been holding the torch on them for a bit longer. They kind of try and dodge, so that's kind of cool. And also, the more that you touch them with the light, the more they fade away and dissolve. So there's a few different bits of code there to make all those different things happen, and I'm going to break it down for you about now, I guess. I think that's about enough time. People should have been able to arrive. Okay, so let's open up a new Scratch project. So everyone get yourself a nice new Scratch project. And if you can, click on Share. And if you get stuck, if something's not working, let me know what your Scratch name is. I'll be able to look you up on Scratch and we can fix your problem. So let's call this Ghost Hunter. I'll share this. And what I'll do is I'll put the link to my project in the chat. And then that way, and I'll keep trying to keep this updated and keep it saving. And that way, if you get really stuck, you can open up my project and see what I've got code in there. Otherwise, just tell me in the chat. Say, my ghosts aren't moving. I'm Palethorn, which is my name on Scratch. Just give me your Scratch name because I'm terrible at remembering people's Scratch names. And then that way, I'll be able to look you up on Scratch. We can look up your code and we can fix it together. All right. Well, first of all, let's start making those 3 sprites that we needed. So, Little Jimmy 2, excellent. I'll try and remember that if it comes up later phase. All good. So, first of all, we're going to delete this sprite 1, this little cat. So hover over it and click on the X. Then in the bottom right corner, hover over that little cat face symbol. When you hover over it, it should say choose a sprite. Let's click on that, all of us together. And now we're going to choose the enemy. So I'm going to choose Ghost. You can have a look through all these different sprites and choose something that you like. It could be if you wanted, it could be crabs coming towards you. Maybe your background is like underwater. Maybe it's like an underwater like torchlight game, flashlight game. So you can choose anything that you like. They can be giant bowls of cheesy puffs coming towards you if you like. I'm going to choose Ghost. If you want something similar to mine but less ghosty, you could choose the bat maybe. All right, and so once we've got our ghost, we're going to draw a sprite. So hover over the bottom right corner where it says choose a sprite, that little cat face, and now move up until you get to an option that says paint, that little paintbrush there, and click on paint. Now it should take you through to this screen. Now, what we need to do is we actually need to click on this button. There's a blue button that says Convert to Bitmap. So have a look in the bottom left corner of your screen. You should see this button, Convert to Bitmap. Now, who knows what the difference between a vector and a bitmap is? So once we click on this button, Convert to Bitmap, we are now working on a bitmap image instead of a vector image. Now, does anyone know the difference? If you do, write your answer in chat. Otherwise, sit tight and I will explain. And in the meantime, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the top left corner, or kind of the middle left, I should say. And you can see all your different painting tools. We need this bucket. If you hover over it, it should say Fill. So once you've gotten Fill, we're going to select the color, top left corner. And we want a nice black color, so just turn the brightness all the way down to 0. And then we're just going to fill the entire thing with blackness. Okay. Phase says bitmap is pixelated. You're exactly right. So your screen is made up of pixels, tiny dots. And a bitmap is also made up of pixels, tiny colored dots. It's just really, really tiny colored dots, just a grid of them. But a vector is made up of shapes, meaning that you can easily resize and move vectors around. You can make them big and you can make them small, and they don't pixelate because they're not made up of pixels, they're made up of shapes. Yeah, so that's useful to know. Most Scratch sprites are vectors, and one of the coolest things you can do with them is that means because they're made up of different shapes, you can sort of move around the individual shapes. You can take the arms and stretch the arms, but not the rest of it, which you can't do with a bitmap, with a pixelated image, because it's all just one thing, one object, one field of pixels. So if you don't understand that, don't stress too much. So we've got our sprite one, it's all black. What we need to do now is we need to look for the eraser tool over in the middle left of the screen. Look for the eraser. And how big do we want this? So in the top left, once you've selected the eraser, you should be able to change the number. That's the size of your eraser. Let's put it up to 100. You can just type it in as well. And then try and put it right in the middle. You might have to do it a couple of times until you get it right in the middle. And you can undo through this button here. In the top left corner, there's a little arrow that's pointing left. So you can click on that, or you can press Control and then hold down Control, and then press Z, and it will undo. So make sure that your little torch is nicely in the middle. And what we're also going to do is we're going to rename this sprite. So you should see over on the right side in the middle of the screen, it's called Sprite 1. So just highlight where it says Sprite 1, just underneath where it's got our actual game screen. We're going to rename this Darkness. The Darkness. All right. So, what we're going to do now is we are going to go into the code of Darkness. We've got our ghost, we've got our darkness. We're going to come back to the torch a bit later. Don't worry about that. And what we're going to do is we are going to make some code so that it follows us around. Oh, we have a cat sighting. I don't know if you can see. One of my cats just appeared. So we are going to make some code that makes the darkness follow around the mouse button, the mouse cursor. So to do that, we're going to go to Events. We're going to look for when green flag clicked. We're going to drag out when green flag clicked into the darkness code. And then look down into Control, the orange category on the left, and look for Forever. So in Control, look for Forever and drag that out and put it underneath when green flag clicked. And then top left corner, Motion. We want this to always go to the mouse pointer. So look for Go to Random Position. Drag that out and put it inside the Forever. And we don't want this to go to a random position. We want this to go to the mouse cursor. So let's click on this white triangle here. And it should give you 3 options: random position, mouse pointer, and ghost. And now we should have some code that always makes the darkness go to the mouse pointer. All right, everyone doing okay so far? So first of all, we have a problem. The darkness is not big enough. So let's try and make it bigger. Let's try and make it bigger with code, and let's see what happens. So let's go to Looks, and let's grab Set Size. So Looks is the purple category in the top left corner. Look down, and you'll find, like halfway down the list of purple codes, something that says Set Size to 100%. Drag that out and put it underneath the green flag. So at the beginning of the game, we're going to set the size. Now 100% is too small, so let's try and set it to 300%. Let's hit the green flag, and we run into a problem. It's still not big enough. So the problem is this. Have a look at the size of your darkness. Has it gone up to size 300? Have a look at its size in the sort of description, just sort of in the middle right of the screen, you know, where you've got things like the direction, the sprite name, that kind of thing. What does it say the size is of the darkness? Put your answers in chat, because this is not big enough. So what size does everyone have? So you should have, maybe, 150. It's not making it size 300, it's making it size 150. So the problem is that Scratch itself will not grow sprites above a certain size if they're already big. Yep, Phase got 150 as well. Good, good, good. So here's the problem. This is a big sprite. In fact, it's a big sprite. It fills the whole screen. Now, Scratch itself will not grow it beyond a certain size because it's too big. We have a solution. This is a very weird little hack. This isn't so much something that's going to be super useful for all types of coding, but this is a interesting, specific, you might find when you are learning how to code things, there are restrictions in the engine that you're using or the coding language that you're using, and you have to use what's called a workaround. A workaround is when you try and fix a problem using an odd method that it wasn't really designed for. Sometimes coders will refer to these as hacks as well. Not hacking as in, you know, he's a hacker, he hacked into his school database, but a different type of hack. But yeah, let's call it a workaround. So I'm going to show you an interesting workaround, and this is really useful to know if you ever want to make your sprites grow larger than the restrictions that Scratch normally imposes on them. All right? So first of all, we need to go to costumes. So everyone do this with me. And we need to do this in the darkness sprite. So we should have only one costume, and that's called costume 1. Let's call this costume darkness. You do that just sort of in the top left corner, just underneath where it says sounds. You'll see costume, and you can name it. We're going to name this darkness, and we're going to make another costume. So bottom left corner, move up, we're going to paint a costume. And you should have this empty costume. Now, what it does, so this one here, costume 1, we're going to rename this Tiny. Doesn't matter too much, we just need to know which one is which. So you should now have 2 costumes. One is called Darkness and the other is called Tiny. Now look in the top left corner. You'll see how big these sprites are. Tiny is only 2 pixels by 2 pixels. And Darkness is 480 pixels by 360 pixels. So Tiny is very small, Darkness is very big. So we're going to trick Scratch into growing our sprite while our costume is very small. It's a very weird little hack, but it should work. So, once you've done that, once you've got your costumes, Darkness and Tiny, let's go back to the code, okay? So, what we need to do is we need to look in Looks, the purple category, and look for Switch Costume 2. Switch Costume 2. Look for that. Drag that out, and I've got Switch Costume to Tiny. Drag that out and put it right underneath when the green flag clicked. And then drag another one out, Switch Costume to Tiny, and put it right underneath Set Size to 300. So remember, the way that this workaround works is we first switch to a costume that's very small, we allow Scratch to grow it, and then we switch back to our big costume, and it shouldn't shrink again. So we've got Switch Costume to Tiny, Set Size to 300%, then Switch Costume to Darkness. Let's see if it works. Hey, there we go. And now you shouldn't be able to see the edges of the darkness. So we've now got this great sort of illusion of a flashlight. All right? How did everyone go with that? Everyone got that working? So what we're going to do now is we are going to add a backdrop to our game. Let me know if anyone's stuck. See, this is and also before I move on, I should say this is a really useful workaround if you ever want to have a large map based on like a sprite that you want to be able to grow really large, and then you can have your character kind of walk around this scrolling map. How do I? What sort of games do this? Like the original Zelda games, some of the Pokemon games, the sort of as you're walking around the map kind of moves, and your character stays in the middle. Yeah, there's a few different cool applications for this particular workaround. So yeah, remember how to do this if you ever want to make sprites much larger than Scratch normally allows you to make them. Okay, so with all that sorted, hopefully you guys haven't had any problems with that. What we're going to do is we're going to add in a backdrop. So bottom right corner, click on that little picture of those hills, hover over, choose a backdrop, and you can choose any backdrop that you like. I like the woods. That's what I'm going to choose. I'll give you guys some time to have a bit of a look through all the different possible backdrops, but I like this one. I like the way this one looks. There we go. So, if you want to make your flashlight a bit bigger, now's the time if you want. You can come back and do it later though. Just remember, how would we do that? How would we make the flashlight a bit bigger? Put your answers in chat if you know. So if you want to make the flashlight a bit bigger, all you need to do is go to the darkness code, look for set size to 300%, it should be the third line, and then change that number. You can change that number to make it up to 400 maybe. And there's probably a limitation. 1,000%. Oh no, 1,000 works more or less. I like 300 personally, but you can decide how big you want your flashlight to be. So, once we've done that, absolutely Faye's got it in 1. Faye says change set size, quite correct. Okay, so now one thing that we need to make sure that happens, can you see the ghost, because I've dragged it around, is now in front of the darkness. So we need to fix that and prevent that from happening. So what we're going to do is we are going to look in our looks code. So the purple category looks, and look all the way to the bottom of the list of purple codes. And you should find a line that says go to front layer. So look for go to front layer, drag that out, and put it anywhere between, just underneath when green flag clicked should be fine. And now, whenever we start the game, it should make sure that the darkness goes on top of everything else. So hopefully, I think that makes sense. I don't think I need to explain layers too much. It's kind of obvious. It's just if you've got one sprite and another sprite, what goes on top of the other, right? And so the front layer is the one that's sort of closest to you, so to speak. The one that and the back layer is the one that's kind of goes underneath all the others on the screen. So if you ever want something to move in front, you just need to make sure that you put it on the front layer. And you can mess around with layers. You can have multiple different sprites on different layers. You can have like a range, a bunch of different things. All right, so got our flashlight working. Next thing we need to do is we need to make a sprite that will be a way of our ghost to detect if it's being touched by the light or not. So this one's going to be pretty simple. So we're going to go to the bottom right corner. Everyone do this with me. Bottom right corner. Hover over choose a sprite. And then go up to paint. Faze Viswa says, like a sandwich. Yes, exactly like a sandwich. Like a sandwich. So yeah, the bread, the peanut butter, the other bread. Yeah, layers. Layers. If you guys have seen Shrek, it's like an onion. Layers. All right. So we should have clicked on paint a new sprite. We should have sprite 1. We're going to name this one torch. So everyone make sure you rename this one torch. And what we're going to do is we are going to click on the brush tool. We're basically going to make a big red circle. So we're going to click on the brush tool. So that's over in the sort of top left corner. You can see it here on my screen. We're going to make sure this is a nice red color. I'm going to make this a very nice deep red. And then you can set the size of your brush. I'm going to set it to 100. Actually, so you can set the size of your brush by, you can't make it bigger than 100. Fair enough. So we're going to have this, so you now have this brush that's like a big thick brush, and we're just going to click just once just once so we have a nice perfect circle. There are other ways of doing that, but this is a nice and easy way to have a nice big perfect circle. So hopefully you guys have all gotten that. Now the next thing to do is we need to make sure that this circle is perfectly in the middle. So what you do then is you go to the select tool of all your drawing tools in the top left corner, just underneath where you've got your color. Once you've got select, it looks like a little mouse. Drag over this little red circle, move it around, and you'll notice you've got this little blue cross in the middle of your red circle, and there's a little crosshairs in the very middle of the drawing screen. You can connect those up, and that way you know that your circle is perfectly in the middle. So, haha, the flag of Japan, says FaZe. Yes, quite right, it is. It's the flag of Japan. All right, so next thing that we need to do is we need to put code into our torch code to make sure that it follows around our mouse pointer the same way that the darkness does. So click on our torch sprite. Something's gone a bit weird with my torch sprite. I'll deal with that later. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so click on the torch sprite, click on code, and we need to get out just the same way as we did for darkness. We need to drag out a when green flag clicked. And then we are going to go to control. Hey, how's it going, AD? How's it going, AJ? Save now. If you click on that link in the chat, I've just saved my project, and you should be able to just continue on. We haven't done that much. I've explained a bit of a cool hack workaround to get around Scratch's artificial size limiting. That I think you guys will enjoy very much. So feel free to watch this video maybe in an hour or so to get the first half so that you know how to do that. But otherwise, just click on that link earlier in the chat and you should be able to remix and continue along in the lesson with us. So this torch, we need this torch sprite to follow around our mouse. So the exact same as we did before, we need to go and get a forever from control, put it underneath when green flag clicked. So we should have when green flag clicked forever, and inside the forever, we are going to put what? Put your answers in chat if you already know. If you don't know, sit tight, I'm about to remind you. We go to motion, the dark blue category. We get out go to random position. It's like the fourth code from the top in our dark blue motion category. Go to random position. We click on that. We have, so to make it, we click on the white triangle and select mouse pointer. So now it says go to mouse pointer. All right. So now what we should have is a red circle following around the sort of the empty circle of the darkness. So this isn't big enough. So let's set the size to 300% like we did before, and let's see if that looks better. So go to looks, the second category, the purple one, look in the sort of middle and look for set size to 100%. Drag that out, put it underneath when green flag clicked. And we're going to change 100% to 300%. Interesting. I think I've got a little bit of an issue. I'm going to redraw my little dot. Yeah, something went a bit wrong with this one. Not sure how. That's all right. I just redrew it. So So now, there we go. And that looks just about perfect. A little bit of a gap, but I don't care too much about that. We've got this red torch that's following around, and it looks just about the right size to fit into that hole of the darkness. So now what we need to do is we need to make sure that that red dot, we can't see it. So here's the thing. We could use a code called hide. But if we use hide, then it's hidden not only from us, the player, but it's also hidden from other parts of code. So if we hide the red dot, the big torch sprite, then the other code can't detect if it's touching it or not. And so we're going to use this later to affect the ghost so that the ghost knows when it's been seen. So we actually can't use hide in this case. So instead what we're going to do is we are going to use something else from looks. We're going to use an effect. So I think we've used effects before, but if you haven't used them, let me tell you where you can find them. Look sort of in the middle, a little bit lower, for something that's called set color effect to 0. So look for set color effect to 0. It's in the looks category. Drag that out, put it right underneath when green flag clicked. This is all in the torch sprite. And we don't want to set the color effect. We want to change the ghost effect. So if you click on this white triangle next to color, there's a bunch of different options. And you guys might have experimented with these all before. But we're going to use ghost. So if we set color effect ghost, and then we click on where it says 0, and we set it to 100, that will make the red torch, a sort of big circle, completely ghosted, so we can't see it. But the code can still see it. The ghost can still detect if it's being touched by it. Alrighty. Okie dokie. So, alrighty, well, let's have a look. We've got some people asking for help. So, AD, are you under Yo-Yo Cake? Which Scratch account are you under right now? Let's have a look at who I'm following. Let's have a look for Yo-Yo Cake. Because Yo-Yo Cake needs some help. Alrighty. So Yo-Yo Cake 51. Let's have a look. See, I don't see the game just yet. Let's click View All. Make sure you've clicked Save, and we'll come back to that because we don't see it right now. I'm going to save my project so you guys can check up on mine. Okay, let's just catch up on the chat. You're having some problem with your iPad as well, AD. Sorry to hear that. Alrighty. Yeah, you got to remember to shed the project Untitled 12. There we go. So let's have a look at everyone. Let's see if we can help AD out with his code. So, okay. So, I think the main thing is actually not the red dot is fine. That's in the middle. The problem is the darkness. So wonder if we can do it like this. No, of course not. It's never that easy. So what I would do, AD, is go to the bottom left corner. So select Sprite 1, your darkness sprite. Should probably give these some names as well so that you know what they are and what they do. Then once you're in the costumes, bottom left corner, paint a new one. Now, I think you're going to need to convert to bitmap, fill in with black, get an eraser, put it up to 100, and then click. And then if you notice it's not in the middle, just Control-Z that, or undo a few times until you're happy that it's in the middle. And you're on an iPad, so yeah, this might be a bit harder. But there we go. So just take a bit of time just to readjust the center of... You might even be able to just move your costume 2 around. That might be enough, you know, actually. Actually, yeah, do you know what? You don't need to remake it. Just grab everything in your costume 2 and move it, and so that it's nicely centered. Yeah, and that should fix it. Yeah, cool. You don't need this. Don't need that then. Sweet. And then all you need to do is put in some code to make the red dot as large as the gap, so 300%, I think. Maybe a bit smaller. 270. Yeah, so you can just eyeball it. Just change this sort of size of your red dot and just look at the game until you're pretty happy that the red dot nicely fills that gap, but it's not too big. So yeah, 255 maybe, 255% for your red dot. That's what size you should set it to. Yeah, that seems about right. And that's close enough. If you really want, you can move this around a bit more until you're happy that it looks like it's in the middle. Yeah, cool. I don't know how easy that is to do on an iPad, but it looks like this is all a vector, so you should be able to move it around without too much problem. And if there's some space around the edges in the sort of in costume 2, the darkness costume, you should be fine because shouldn't matter too much because it's so big you never see those edges. All right, hopefully that's fixed it for you, Yo-Yo Cake. All right, so that should be a nice solution for you. So we've got a bit of time left, not too much time, so we can do a simple bit of code for the ghost. So because we've got the ghosting, we've got the ghost effect on the red torch, and we've got our darkness working. So all we need to do now is do some code for the ghost to make the ghost appear. All right. Let me bring up my notes here. So let's create some code that spawns ghosts, shall we? So let's, and I'm just wondering, with 15 minutes, I'm just thinking about how best we can do this, because there's a few things we'll just sort of leave until next time. Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll make it so that the ghosts appear and they get bigger, but we won't put in any of the game stuff just yet. We'll program that next time. Okay, so what we need to do is we go to the ghost sprite. Everyone do this with me. Click on the ghost sprite. Make sure you've clicked on code in the top left corner. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to grab when green flag clicked, put that out, and we're going to make some code that's going to make some clones of the ghost. So this is a good time to do that. So first of all, if you've done these before, you'll know that I have a specific thing that I do with all of my clones. This ghost is going to hide itself because this is not going to be the ghost that we see. This is going to be like the mother ghost, and she's going to make lots of clones, and we're going to see the clones instead. So we need to make sure that this ghost hides. So we're going to grab out hide. So when green flag clicked, hide. And then what we're going to do is we are going to grab out set size to 100, but we're going to change it to 1%, not 100%. So drag out set size to 100% and then change it to 1%. Because the ghosts, if I show you my game again, the ghosts start off really small and they get bigger. And that's what gives you the illusion of them coming towards you. All right. So, what we're going to do, we've got our hide, we've got our set size to 1%. We're going to make a forever loop. So go to Control, drag out forever, and put it underneath set size to 1%. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to Motion. We're going to get out go to X and Y, put that inside the forever. So go to X, and then there'll be a number, and Y, and then there'll be a number. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go and get a weight from Control. So go to Control, look for the first code there, wait 1 second. Drag out wait 1 second and put it underneath our go to X number, Y number. And then we're going to grab out a create clone of myself. So look at the bottom of Control. That's one of the last codes, the second to last code. You'll look for create clone of myself. Okay, so let's change some of the numbers here. Let's put the wait up. We've got wait 1 second. Everyone do this with me. Click on the 1 and type in 3. Wait 3 seconds. And this is a thing that you can change if you want later. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that this ghost goes somewhere random. So normally we could do a nice simple thing, like go to random position, but that actually makes it very hard because the ghosts can spawn right in the corner of the screen, and we want them to appear a little bit more in the middle of the screen. So we're going to put in a pick random. We're going to go to operators. That's the green category on the left. Near the middle left of the screen, look for operators, and then look 5 lines down. The 5th green code is called pick random 1 to 10. Drag out 1 for the X, and drag out 1 for the Y. So put 1 in the go to X, and put the other one in the go to Y. So now you should have, if you can see my screen, something that looks like this. Go to X, pick random 1 to 10, Y, pick random 1 to 10. So if we wanted this to be the whole screen, what coordinates would we put in? Do you guys understand the coordinates? Not everyone's, it takes a bit of time to get to understand them, but if we wanted to make this truly random across the entire screen, all the way from the left to the right, because the X controls how far left and how far right something is, and the Y controls how high or how low something is, how up or down it is. If we wanted to make this across the entirety of the screen, what would be the range we used here? So pick random, what would be the lowest number of x and the highest number of x if we wanted it to be all the way to the left side of the screen and all the way to the right side of the screen? And if we wanted the y to be all the way to the bottom of the screen and all the way to the top of the screen, what would be the two numbers we would use there? So, if you know the answers, put them in chat. What's our x range and our y range? That's if we want the whole screen. If you don't know, that's fine. I'll give you the answers here. So the x would be minus 240. That's the leftmost part of the screen, all the way to 240. And then the y, the lowest number is minus 180. And the highest number is 180. You've got to remember that even though there's no plus symbol, we're talking about a minus number and a plus number, a negative number and a positive number. In the middle of the screen is always 0. It either goes into a positive number above 0 or it goes into a negative number when it's below 0. So that will take us the entirety of the screen. So if we want them to not spawn around the edges of the screen, we can shrink the range. So instead of spawning all the way across the screen like this, they're only spawning sort of in the middle section. So how would we do that? If you know the answer, put it in chat. If you don't, sit tight. I'm about to explain it. Yes, AD, you've got it correct. And FaZe, you've got it correct. Teamwork. Excellent. Very good. These numbers here are actually the number of pixels we have. There's actually 480 pixels across and 360 pixels down. And that's divided in half into the positive numbers and the negative numbers. If you don't understand that, don't stress. So, I hope you've got your guesses in for how we would, or your answers in, I should say, for how we would shrink the range. I'm about to tell you. What you do is you make these numbers smaller, I suppose I could say. Smaller numbers. So we've got negative 240 to 240. That's all the way to the left, all the way to the right. If we want it to be not all the way to the left and not all the way to the right, let's change that to something like negative 200 to positive 200. So now, instead of spawning them all the way like this, they're spawning just like this. Negative 200 to positive 200. Put that in X. If you don't understand this, that's fine. Just make sure that you write, go to X, pick random, minus 200 to 200. Now let's look at the Y, shall we? Let's have a look at the Y. So currently we've got minus 180. Let's change this exactly the same. Let's change this to minus 130. And then change 102 to 130. So now our Y coordinates should be pick random minus 130 to 130. So instead of spawning all the way up here, we're now spawning only in this range here. All right. So now all we're going to do is a nice simple code that makes our ghosts look like they're coming towards us. So I'll make sure you've got enough time to finish off this bit of code here. If you can see my screen, I'm going to make it nice and big for you so it's all possible to see it. Alrighty. So, if you've got all that sorted, the next bit is we need to give some instructions to our clones. When they are born, when they are created, what do they do? So first of all, we are just going to do something very simple. We're going to just make them grow. And then we'll leave it and then we'll do all the rest of the cool stuff for our ghosts next session. So let's look in control look towards the bottom of control, the orangey category control, and look for when I start as clone. Drag that out when I start as clone. Now, if we have already hidden the original ghost sprite, what do we need to do with our clones if we want to be able to see them? Answers in chat. If you don't know, sit tight, I'm about to explain it. So we go to looks, the purple category in the top left corner, and then we look for show, because we've hidden the original, and we drag that out, and we put it underneath when I start as clone. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make them grow. We're going to make the set size is 1%. We're going to make them get bigger and bigger and bigger. How do we do that with our code? If you know the answer, write it in chat now. Have a think about it. I'll give you some time. We've got our when I start as clone show, so we can see them, but they're tiny. So how do we make them get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger? Well, what we're going to do for now let's get a repeat 10. Drag that and put it underneath the show. So you go to control, look, I think it's the second one, it says repeat 10. Drag that and put it underneath show. And we're going to change that 10 to 100. So click on the 10 and repeat 10 and change it to 100. And you can change this a bit if you want to see what it does. And how do we make our sprites get slightly bigger? We go back to looks, the purple category, and we look for change size by 10. It's in the middle of all the purple codes, of all of our look codes. Drag out change size by 10, put it inside repeat 100, and changing size by 10 is a lot. Let's make it a lot smaller than that. So click on the 10 in change size by 10 and type in 1. We're going to change size by 1. Okay. So now we should have ghosts that look like they're coming towards you. And they're probably on top of each other. So if you want them to grow even bigger, and then if you stop, they should disappear. If you want these ghosts to grow even bigger, what number would you change here? There we go. Yeah, it looks like these ghosts are coming towards us. So the ghosts aren't actually coming towards us, it's an illusion, isn't it? They're actually getting bigger. And when we animate them to move around a bit more, it's going to look even more realistic, like they're coming towards us. And if you wanted to, you could change this repeat 100 to 150 if you wanted them to get even bigger than that. You could put a delete this clone after the repeat if you wanted. I'm going to leave it at 100, I think. We're going to change this a bit next week anyway. But yeah, there we go. So that's what we should be up to now. We should have our working flashlight, our darkness, our torch, our ghosts that slowly get bigger. They look like they're coming towards us, and nothing else. That's what we should be up to right now. Does anyone have any problems? Did anyone run into any issues? How did everyone go with today's tutorial? I see you're organizing your Fortnite game after the session. Very nice. Enjoy yourselves, guys. How did you go with the coding? Hope you didn't get too distracted. So if I maybe have a look in here, if I go refresh, reload, it's looking pretty good. Just need to, yep, cool. The ghosts are making, so all you need now. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Oh, I noticed a little issue though. There's just one little typo I found. Who else can see it? Who else can see it? Put your answer in chat if you've noticed a little bit of an issue. So I'm putting up on screen now. So just one thing that you probably need to change, Yo-Yo Cake, is you've got pick random minus 200 to 20. So I think you just missed one of those zeros, just as a typo. If you fix that, if you don't fix it, all your ghosts will only spawn on the left half of your screen. So yeah, that's a nice easy fix. You just need a bit of code that makes them get bigger, and then you're all good to go. It's looking very nice. I'll get a quick refresh on this. Yeah, looking very nice. Ghosts are growing. There we go. Lovely. How did everyone else go? So, phase. Jimmy, I believe. We'll go to profile. Let's see if we can help Phase out with his project. Or their project, I should say. Let's have a look. Little Jimmy, is that? I'm pretty sure Little Jimmy 2. Little Jimmy 2. Have you clicked share on your project? It's Little Jimmy 2, isn't it? I'm just looking up through this chat because you mentioned it before. Yes, Little Jimmy 2. Make sure you've clicked share on your project. It might be here, and I just might have seen it yet. We've got Splatoon from last time. I don't see it here. Let me refresh. Yeah, you just need to make sure that it's shared, Little Jimmy, okay? Make sure it's shared, Phase. All right. Let's refresh this. Hey, untitled. So your ghost's not working, you say? Let's have a look-see. Aha! Aha! Yes. All right. Well, first of all, where are all the ghosts spawning? And where is the code that changes where the ghosts spawn? Let's figure this out logically. So they're all spawning on the left side. What controls how far left or right they spawn? Is it Y? And then let's have a look at the code in the ghost that says where the ghosts go before they spawn. Let's have a look-see. Alrighty. Yeah, so if you have a look here underneath your code where it says when green flag clicked, have a look for where the mother ghost, where the ghost that spawns all of the clone ghosts goes. And let's have a look at the random part of it. So go to X, pick random, minus 200 to minus 200. So where are they going to spawn? On the left and right side of the screen. They're always going to spawn on the left side. They're always going to spawn exactly on minus 200. So all you need to do is have a look for that minus 200, the second one, and delete the minus. So then it's pick random minus 200 to 200. And then they should spawn all over the place. There we go. One's down there. One's there. Alrighty. Good job, everyone. So yeah, so the nice thing about understanding the code is that when something goes wrong, like you're like, man, why are all the ghosts going to the left side? You can have a think back and go, what code did we use that decided where the ghosts went? And then you can be like, oh, wait, it's the go to. And then you can go and check that code and go and read it. And the other thing as well is that looking at it at a glance, you often miss typos. I miss typos all the time. That's why they're called typos. But if you read it out loud, like I do over the stream, go to X, pick random, -200 to, -200, then you can find your problems. That's what helps me anyway. Because I make typos in my code all the time, and then I'm like, why isn't it working? And then I go through and I read it out loud, and it helps me find it all the time. All right, so there we go, phase. All you need to do is remove that second minus from pick random in next to go to X, and then it should be fixed for you. As long as it says go to X, pick random -200 to 200, you're all sorted. So I think that's pretty much everyone sorted now. No one else has mentioned they're having any problems. So just as a reminder, next week we're doing Tuesday and Thursday. We aren't doing Monday. We're starting to cut these down now. And they'll probably cut down a bit further in the future as well. And this is all because we're spending more time figuring out how we're going to start up our physical programs again. And it's going to be really fun and interesting. We're going to do things a bit differently. We're going to do some more structured stuff in like our coding lessons in the library. So I'm really looking forward to that. So next Tuesday will be Ghost Hunter Part 2. So tune in then, and we will do more code for the ghost that makes them move around and disappear when you hold the torch on them for long enough. That should be a lot of fun. And if you have requests for future streams, send me a message on Scratch or leave a comment on the YouTube video. If you ever miss any of the streams and you still want to make the games and see what we've made, go back and watch some of the old videos. But yeah, until I see you guys again on Tuesday, hope you had fun, stay awesome, be cool to each other, and take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time, ninjas.